I'm a little ways into my roughly 4-hour drive to Manchester, New Hampshire, where I'm going to be staying at Saint Anselm's College, hosted by the Institute for Saint Anselm Studies for this summer research residency. I'm pretty excited about heading up there. There's a lot of old friends that I'm going to meet up with, some from Saint Anselm College, some I'll see after the residency ends with the metaphysics colloquium, which tends to attract a lot of big thinkers from around the area. There's kind of a not standard, but a regular circle that comes to these colloquia. I've got a mostly interstate drive ahead of me, taking my wife's car, which has over 200,000 miles on it. But I just got an oil change yesterday, and so that ought to be all right. It's about a 250-mile trip, I think. So I'm putting on 500 miles all told. I'll have to do a little bit of driving around the city of Manchester to get some groceries. I need to pick up a tripod if they have a Staples for my flip cam, because I'll be doing a lot of video recording while I'm up there. So I suppose I should talk a little bit about why I'm going up there in the first place. They asked me last year if I wanted to do a summer research residency because they've got a special collection. I think it's called the O'Rourke collection now, after one of the professors, and they keep this collection of works on Saint Anselm, translations, other things that are germane to Anselm Studies in a special room of the library, which I'll be showing you later on in this video. And the Institute and the collections work hand in hand. So last year it was suggested I might come up for a week or 2 weeks and just do some research, because I'm working on a lot of projects having to do with Saint Anselm, some of which are translations, some of which are actually book-length monographs, some of which are papers. And I couldn't make it happen with their schedule. I had too much other stuff going on in the summer. They did as well. So we decided we would put it off till this summer. So we decided early June would be the best. I like that in part because the metaphysics colloquium is in early June, and that means that I can combine the two trips. I will actually be changing residence a little bit. I'm staying in one dorm that has even a kitchen this first week, and then the last 2 days of the residency I'll be staying in the same dorm as all the other members of the colloquium. So this time around, I got into some discussions with Keith Chevalier, who's their archivist, the librarian who's in charge of all these special collections that St. Anselm had. I got in a discussion with him last time that I was up there about the possibility of putting together some sort of expanded database of the many articles which they have photocopied, which right now are not in circulation because they're going to address some copyright issues. And I figured that would actually take quite a bit of time because they have a lot of materials up there. What they decided to have me do instead this time around is to actually go through all of the dissertations, and the ones that have adequate information about them, dissertations on St. Anselm, that is, that the Saint Anselm Institute has managed to procure. The ones that have sufficient information because they're fairly recent and they have all the metadata that we want, I'm just going to leave alone, note that they've got that. But the older ones, we're going to see if we can track that information down, if it's listed somewhere else on the web. And if it's not there, then I'm going to read the dissertation and actually write an abstract and enter some key words for it so that people coming to the Institute who want to find these sorts of things are able to do so. So you could look at my work there as, in part, cataloging, supporting the mission of the collections, which then supports the mission of the Institute. I'll also be working for a while on some projects of my own. I've got some writing projects to engage in, one of which has to do directly with Anselm. I've got a conference coming up this summer where I'll be presenting a paper that's the third part of my long-term study on mercy and justice in Saint Anselm's thought. This one will be about his prayers. I've done one on the proslogion, one on the Cur Deus Homo, and now I'll be doing it on the prayers. And eventually I plan to turn this into a book-length study. So if I get enough time set aside, I'll actually be like outlining the chapters for myself. I've got a paper I'm working on St. Thomas Aquinas and his views on anger for a leadership conference coming up later this month. So that's old material for me, but it needs to be reworked and it needs to be placed into a somewhat different context. And then I'm still working on this paper on Gabriel Marcel and the Christian philosophy debates. So I'll use their library. They've got a lot of Marcel works there that I can skim through and find the passages that I've read before and want to incorporate into the paper. So it'll be good. I'm also going to do a ton of filming. I'm taking Anselm's works, the proslogion and the monologion, and I'm recording all the footage that I will need in order to give them something like the half-hour Hegel treatment, where I read the text and then I comment on the text, because those are two texts that I particularly like, and there's nobody else who's done a commentary like that on them. I'm going to do some other filming as well. I'm hoping to do some interviews with the staff of the Institute. Monty Brown has already agreed to do an interview with me, and I'm pretty sure Kevin McMahon will do so as well, if I can hunt him down, because he's now a administrator. I'm going to try to get a hold of the Reverend John Fortin, Benedictine monk, who was the original director of the Institute. And I'm hoping that I can also get a little bit of FaceTime with Dwayne Bruce, who was the next director of the Institute. He's since retired, but he comes back for the Metaphysics Colloquium. He's an old friend of mine. And so I want to do some, get some footage with these guys. What else? I'll just say I'm on my way up now, and I'm pretty excited about the prospects. It's like a week-long retreat, essentially. Get to spend some time just working and thinking without having to do any housework or take care of the dogs or arrange schedules and that sort of thing. Hopefully I'll get a lot of really productive work done, both for myself and for the Institute. Monty Brown is going to meet me once I get on campus and direct me to the place that I'll be putting all my gear and staying. And then it's hit the ground running. I took off at 7 in the morning, hoping to arrive by 11 so I can get a full day of work done. I've got myself a stock of food along, sandwiches for the day, apples. It's not a military mission type of thing, but I like to be prepared. I am ex-Army, so I always go into things knowing what it is that I need to do. And once I get there, it's going to be, for the first couple days, it's going to be, one thing after the other. In part because my work at the library needs to get done within a certain time frame. They're on summer hours. Academic libraries on campuses often will have shortened summer hours. So the library is not open at all over the weekend. So I'm losing 2 days because of that, of possible work in the library. And they have shortened schedules for Thursday and Friday where they close at 4:30. I can get there at 8 and work until 4:30. But that only gives me 8 hours effectively to get anything done if I take just a short lunch break. I'm now on Interstate 190 in Massachusetts heading north, which is going to turn into Highway 13 pretty soon. I'm about 3 hours into the trip, another hour yet to go. I'm getting close to the New Hampshire border, which is good because that's where I'm headed. So I've made it through a good portion of New York, a good portion of Massachusetts, and now on the final leg of the journey. And it's a beautiful area. There's all sorts of rock formations. Everything is green, you know. There's still some wildflowers of various sorts blooming that have gone out down in the Hudson Valley. It's a little bit of a different zone here. I decided to take this route because I haven't gone this way very often, and I wanted something a little bit more scenic since I have to drive this long drive anyway. And I was kind of tired of interstate driving. So fairly soon this is going to turn into just state highway. And really looking forward to getting there, and I'll start showing you some of the campus once I've actually arrived. We're getting close to the college now. This is actually Saint Anselm Drive, and we're going to be pulling up to the campus in just a moment. This is a road I've long driven. Certainly not as often as the people who work there, of course, but this has been a place that I've been to, boy, year after year after year. Now we're just coming up to the beginning of the campus. See some of the field. There's the campus itself. And here we are. Saint Anselm College. All right. Pulling up, there's the chapel itself. Library where I'll be working. And that is Old Main ahead of us. I'm going to go park and then find Monty. The Institute for Saint Anselm Studies that is hosting me belongs to Saint Anselm's College. And what they've done is put me up in one of their dorm suites. You can see I've got my various reading materials that I brought along with me. Some Aquinas, some Marcel, some Anselm, my book on the Christian philosophy debate, since I'm doing some writing on that. Some materials on Epicurean traditions and my Hegel, and then this is all articles that I have previously photocopied or printed out dealing with Anselm that I'm going to be using for some of the things I'm writing. There's the typical sort of common room where I sit and do some of my reading. It's 2 bedrooms, rather Spartan conditions, I think, by modern dorm room standards, but that's because college students tend to be given pretty luxurious circumstances. This is much more like what it was like when I was in college. There's actually 2 bathrooms, one with a shower. Here's where I'm going to be sleeping. I've already got my gear stowed in the closet and there. Fortunately, I remembered to bring an iron because there is literally nothing here other than the room itself. So I brought utensils, I brought all of the sorts of things that I thought I might need for the roughly week that I'll be staying here. So the apartment itself is within a courtyard. Very nice place to be. It's also located right next to the famous Saint Anselm Institute for Politics, where in about a year, well, less than a year, it's going to be really hopping here, given the primary season will be beginning. There you can see a little bit of the Institute right there. This is Saint Anselm Drive, the road that the college is on in Manchester. I've more or less settled into the apartment, and now I've got a little bit of a walk through the woods on this nice path to get to the library where I'm going to be starting my work for today. This is the quad. Over there is the chapel and the monastery itself. There's where I'm headed, the Geisel Library. So my task that I'm performing for the Saint Anselm Institute is to go and look at every one of these dissertations, find out whether there's adequate information already available about them, and for those for which there is not, which I'm guessing is probably going to be quite a few of these, I'm to come up with abstracts and key terms. So I'm going to have to first start by finding which of these are actually in the system with plenty of information. It might appear that all I've done is shift one stack of books from one place to the other, but actually what I've been doing over the last 2 hours is compiling a pretty extensive database. I've gone through each one of these dissertations and gotten the entry from the Geisel Library's catalog, put into the spreadsheet all the relevant things that I'm looking for, the title, the name, the year, whether there's an abstract available, whether there's subject keywords available, and then any sort of little notes that I needed. I'm not completely through. I still have a few more stacks to go. I should push these over here so I don't forget them the next day. But the project is underway, so that is good news.